Hello there everybody and welcome to my channel. This is my first ever video for this channel, and I suppose I've been meaning to make it for weeks. The idea for this channel, you'll see from the channel name, Discontinuist. The idea for this channel really is to tackle a personality flaw that I have. It's just that maybe I have ADHD, I don't know, but the flaw is that I never follow anything through. I maybe have lots of ideas and start lots of different projects, but never get to the end. I never complete them, never really improve at the thing. And therefore, my life has ended up being like sort of a series of, jumping from one thing to another, never really going too deep and never really getting anywhere good. So with this channel and with this with this project, what my intention is to help encourage myself to see things to the end. So when it came to starting the channel, I was thinking, how do you begin? What should your first video be when you make a YouTube channel? And there's actually lots of podcasts and creators who have talked about that sort of thing. How do you start YouTube? What should be your first video? And the thing they always say is, it doesn't really matter. Like, the main thing is just make the first video. Get over that hurdle. And Mr. Beast said, come back when you've made 100 videos and you've learned 100 new things. And after, come back in a year and then we'll talk. So I'm trying to avoid getting into too much analysis paralysis here, and I'm just jumping in, making my first video, gonna upload it, and obviously no one will watch it anyway, so it doesn't really matter how cringy it is. I'm jumping in, and this is what I decided to do, is take the 16 personalities test. This is a Myers-Briggs 4-letter, personality test thing. I've done it in the past, but not for a long time. So we'll see what the result is in a minute, and we'll see whether I get the same result as I've had before. But you will be able to see from the title what the result of this test is. So what do I think of this test? I've enjoyed doing it before, mainly because of reading through the profile that it gives you at the end, where it articulates the ways in which you approach the world and some of the problems and pitfalls and strengths and weaknesses that you might have. I don't think of it like a horoscope. I don't think anything to do with this is set in stone. But it just allows you to collect together traits and shows you a picture of your approach to the world. So that's what I think of it. I've wanted to make YouTube videos for the whole time that YouTube has existed. I watched YouTube when I was a kid. That was like 15, 16 years ago, wasn't it? And before YouTube ever bought YouTube. Before Google ever bought YouTube, I meant to say. And back then I loved the platform. I've always loved it. YouTube is amazing. The authenticity, the honesty, the diversity, the strangeness, and I love how open and free YouTube is, and I've always wanted to do it. Even 15 years ago I tried making videos but never uploaded them and never continued because I hated what I made and I found it cringy, and of course it was. I was like young. Of course it was cringy and probably awful, but now I can see that I should have just done it, because now I'd be in a different place, wouldn't I? And lots of people who started when they were kids are, they've learned so many things, they've developed, it's taken them in different directions, and maybe they're making money, and, God bless, it's like fantastic. So, that's cringe. I'm inclined now to delete the recording and start again, which I've already done maybe 4 or 5 times. But this time, I suppose we better just follow through since I've been talking about that. So let's take the test. I've been procrastinating YouTube for 17 years. Now I'm going to start. So here we are. It's the Type Explorer. Be yourself and answer honestly to find out your personality type. And I'm interested in being honest. So I want to use YouTube as a way of expressing myself a bit with some authenticity, which I struggle with in day-to-day life because I'm always like, I don't know, trying to pretend or conform or mask. So I'm going to be honest. And this is what it's all about, I suppose, isn't it? Unlock your potential. I would like to grow as a person because my life is a complete, sort of a series of failures, one big mess. I would like to get better at something for once and improve. You regularly make new friends? No, I really don't. Not that I don't want to, but I seem to have like a inbuilt suspicion about making new friends with people. And even when I get friendly with someone new, I feel in myself a resistance to it going any further, as in like becoming full-fledged friends. I sort of hold back from that. Maybe it's like a protection mechanism, and if we get too close, then I feel like it will all go wrong, and they'll discover that I'm like terrible, and then I will be hurt by their rejection. So yeah, this like rejection sensitivity is something I deal with, and I've read some stuff about that. There's a thing called sort of avoidant personality disorder. Anyway, we won't get into like all my random fucking bullshit self-diagnoses. Anyway, I'll say hard disagree with that one because I mostly stick with my old friends, and whilst I sometimes meet people I like, I find it difficult to get to that really close place. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. That describes me exactly. I love YouTube, like going on random dives into YouTube stuff, like finding diverse and strange content. And this is how I've lived my life, is just jumping from one thing to the next, never going in fully, never getting too deep. And that's the problem, really. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. I will say, light, medium disagree. Like that can make me cry, seeing other people, but that's not the main thing that will make me cry. Usually I cry very easily at beautiful things like music and genius things like Lionel Messi playing football, or like an amazing movie that I think is so fantastic, and that the artist has put so much amazing work into it. That's the sort of thing that will make me cry. And sometimes I'll be upset by seeing other people upset, but normally it just makes me a bit uncomfortable, I suppose. You often make a backup plan for a backup plan. I'm going to hard disagree because actually, if I make a plan at all, which is rare, then my attitude will be, well, if that plan falls through, then well, fuck it, we'll just roll with it then. It's sort of like, if it doesn't go to that plan, then okay, we'll just make it up on the fly. So that's how I approach things, really. I don't get into all this detail, backup plan for backup plan. I hardly make any plans at all. I just kind of go with the flow most of the time. Usually stay calm, even under a lot of pressure. Not really. If I'm under a lot of pressure, especially like time pressure, then I don't feel calm at all. I feel very stressed out. I don't like failing to meet deadlines. I don't like being late. So I feel the pressure, and I want to get things right. So I feel the anxiety of that. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to say hardest because I don't freak out. I stay outwardly fairly calm, I suppose, but internally I'm kind of having a breakdown. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Yeah, absolutely. I mostly talk to the ones I already know. That I find way more comfortable. New people are just unpredictable, and something about that causes me like a nervousness. So to avoid that, I just talk to the people I like already. You prefer to completely you prefer to completely finish one project before starting another. Well, we're going to have to hard disagree with that because, this is kind of the theme of the channel. I never finish anything. You're very sentimental. Not really. I wouldn't say very sentimental, but I am somewhat sentimental. For example, I keep old tickets from the past for trains or concerts, and then I get nostalgic when I look at them. Or I've got boxes of photographs. I've got rocks, big rocks from the beach from holidays. So am I sentimental? I don't know. I'll say slightly. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists. I'm going to lightly agree because whilst I definitely don't use a schedule, but I do make to-do lists that I tick off, and that does help me a bit with getting through daily tasks and jobs that I've got to do. So I'll say yes, a bit. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. This completely describes me, so I'm going to hard agree. If I make a small mistake in like a job or piece of work or I don't know, then internally my brain cascades, it spirals into misery because I start to feel like, oh no, like I've ruined it, like I'm worthless, I'm no use to anyone. I'm going to keep on making these mistakes and it's no bloody good. So I'd agree. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone when you find interesting and striking up a conversation. No, I don't feel comfortable at all. And I would very rarely do that. It's deeply uncomfortable. I'm very awkward in these sorts of like conversational situations. Maybe you can detect that even over YouTube. So, hard disagree. You are not too interested in discussing various interpretations and analyses of creative works. No, I am really interested in doing that, and that's something I love doing and watching other people do on YouTube and so on. Like, I've always been drawn naturally towards those, like talking about novels or movies or music, and what the artist meant and all that sort of thing, and what I felt from it. Like, I love all that. So next, you're more inclined to follow your head than your heart. That's a tricky one for me because I follow my head first. That's my natural inclination, I suppose, is to go with my. I try to analyze the the facts of the decision, say, and I try to imagine all of the possible consequences that could arise depending on which route I decide to go down, and all of the nuances and all of the butterfly-like rippling consequences from the decision. But of course, you can't do that much analysis really without becoming paralyzed. And in the end, then, what I normally do, I suppose, is just go with my gut instinct or my heart. So which do I choose here? I mean, it's kind of both, but I suppose my inclination is to try to approach it with my head. That's how I attack it first, before I fail. So I'll go there. Or shall I go there? I'll go there. I'll go there. You usually prefer just doing what you feel like at any given moment instead of planning a particular daily routine. Yeah, like, I would be completely happy just doing whatever I feel like any moment. And if that didn't have any downsides, then that's exactly what I would do. But of course, doing whatever you feel like, especially to someone like me, is like really destructive and will do me no good. And has done me not much good at all. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you meet. I do worry about that a hell of a lot. Like, I worry so much. And, I'll be so on edge when I'm meeting a new person, mainly because I can see in their eyes how they're reacting to the things that I'm saying and doing. And if I detect in their eyes even a glimmer of, I don't know, distaste or whatever, then it will absolutely batter my self-esteem. Like, I'll be miserable and upset and I'll want to leave immediately. So I worry a hell of a lot about this impression thing. Why? I'm not sure. You enjoy participating in group activities? No. I'd much rather do activities alone, really. Like, it's much more comfortable and simple and allows my brain just to wander and not have to deal with all the anxiety that arises with the social dynamics. So I will hard disagree. You like books and movies that makes you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't prefer them necessarily, but let's go agree. Your happiness comes more from helping others accomplish things than your own accomplishments. Difficult one. What happiness? I mean, my own accomplishments. What accomplishments? Helping others. Do I help others? Am I any good to anyone? I might have to go neutral because even if I accomplish something I don't really feel happy about, maybe I feel happy for a fleeting moment, but generally I override it with some kind of thought process like, well, if I was able to do it, then it's not worth being proud of it because it must have been so simple that literally. Anyway, next. You're interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. I've always found it very difficult to choose what to do. I love to keep my options open, most of all, because I know that I like to just go off in any direction. So I'm going to pretty medium agree. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. You're prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. Yeah, I am. I do have that like unpleasant anxiety in me where I expect that things are going to go wrong. Yeah, I don't have this like blind optimism that everything will just work out good. Mostly, I'm considering all the possible ways that it will be harmful. You avoid leadership roles in group settings. Yes, I avoid leadership roles. I have been in leadership roles before, weirdly, and they've always been catastrophic because I'm not cut out for it. I don't think, or at least I'd be a very weird kind of leader. So yeah, I don't like the pressure of it. I don't like making snap decisions on time pressure where you've got people looking at you and waiting for your decision. Like, that's not how I approach life at all. I need time to weigh up and feel the route forward. So yeah, leadership definitely not in a normal way. You're definitely not an artistic type of person. I disagree because I have always felt an artistic drive. Like I've always been interested in writing, in poetry, in painting, in making music. Now, I'm not claiming here to have ever created anything beautiful because, like I've been going on about, I have a huge problem with following through, with completing a project to its end and improving at a skill. So, for example, like painting, I might paint a bit, but never get any good at it, and then I'll move on to something else. So yeah, I'll disagree because I do feel the artistic impulse, and I appreciate art a hell of a lot. I think it's one of the most, was one of the only wonderful things on this earth. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings? Yes. Yeah, generally speaking, yes. We sorry, I have a cold. Yeah, definitely prefer people who approach things with rationality because feelings, they differ between people so strongly based on what experiences you've had in your life, what your genetics are, what your various like traumatic experiences might have been. So feelings are completely unpredictable and are just basically a bad arbiter for like how to act. So yeah, with rationality, we're better off. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. I'm gonna disagree. I mean, I won't quite hard disagree because I do understand the feeling of satisfaction after having done your chores and then how sort of pleasantly you can relax afterwards. But generally speaking, I'm quite happy to procrastinate them and just relax beforehand. Yeah, it doesn't really weigh on my mind too much, so I'll go with that. You enjoy watching people argue. Depends what it means. Like, do I enjoy watching debates? Yeah, where people are raising points and making counterpoints. In terms of like watching people argue, like fighting, then no, I have no interest in that. So I don't know what it means. Ambiguous question. I'll just go with neutral. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself. Yeah, yeah. I'm quiet in social situations. I don't want to be the center of attention at all. Um, I don't wear, the clothes that I wear, for example. I just basically wear like black. I just blend in, jeans. Nothing outlandish. Nothing. I don't try to be fashionable. Never have done. I don't think in those terms really. So yeah, I don't want to be the center of attention, and I do tend to avoid that. Your mood can change very quickly. Well, yes. I mean, that's a difficult one. If my feelings get hurt, then I can go from happy, having a good time, to sort of curled up in the corner, uh, not crying, but I can be like really depressed like really quickly. So I'll go with agree, medium. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. Yeah, I do. Not outwardly, but internally, I will lose patience. I wish, I love to approach things efficiently. I love to think about how can I min max this. I don't know why. I'm just naturally have a tendency for that. So when I see people doing it in like a dumb way or a slow way, then I just think, why? If you're doing it, you might as well like do it as fast as you possibly can. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Yeah, this if the example of schoolwork, coursework, essays. I would be one who always did them the night before. You've always been fascinated by the question of what, if anything, happens after death. Yeah, ever since pretty much as far back I can remember, I was interested in this question. You want my opinion? I think it's probably just the exact same experience as what I experienced before I was born. Of course, what did I experience? Well, a complete absence of experience, just a void for millions of years, which basically, as far as I'm concerned, didn't happen. So after I die, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely nothing will happen, and that's how I approach it. But could be wrong. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. No, I do get pleasure, obviously, from hanging out and feeling those like social connections when they go well, but because they so often don't go well, then I generally prefer to be by myself. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. No, on the contrary. I'm bored if it's not theoretical, really. Like, I'd much rather talk about conceptual things than concrete things like what happened to this person today, or did you see what that person did? Those things are not interesting. What I'm interested in is like, okay, so was it right? Like, why could that person have been driven to that? Or that kind of question is much more interesting to me. You find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. Empathize? I don't think I'm that good at empathizing. But it's hard to judge. Like, am I better than average with empathizing? I don't know. We can't go into it. I'll just say experience is very different. I mean, how different? We're all human. We all suffer. But yeah, they're very different. I'm stumped. You find it easy to empathize. I'll say I probably don't find it that easy. You usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. Yeah, I will. This completely accurately describes me. I will, if possible, avoid the decision. You rarely second guess the choices that you have made. No, I constantly second guess. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is just what you need. The exact opposite. I need to be alone in my room. You enjoy going to art museums? Yes. As I've already mentioned, I love looking at art. It's like the world is such a cruel, dark, horrible place. Beautiful art that makes you feel something lovely is... that sounds so cringe. I should probably delete this recording. Art is one of the few things that's a glimmer of light in an otherwise awful universe. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. Yeah, it does. It doesn't come naturally, and I have to force myself to think through and sort of calculate how they might be feeling. And I'm often poor at getting what other people are trying to explain to me. You like to have a to-do list for each day. I don't do it every day at all, but every now and then I have a to-do list, and it does help me get through the day, as I've already mentioned. So let's go with light degree. I mean, I sometimes do that. You rarely feel insecure. I always feel insecure. You avoid making phone calls. I always avoid making phone calls. I hate the phone. You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. Maybe I'll link an article in the description, which is what was it called? Something like The Problem with Phones, or anyway, it's a brilliant essay by someone online who just lays out all the reasons why phone conversations are terrible and should be avoided. You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. I sort of really enjoy weirdly listening to views that are different from my own, and try to understand. Well, I certainly try to critique them. I mean, do I understand views that are different from my own? Yeah, I love to understand the other side, and I love one of my favorite experiences actually is having held a long-term belief that something is some way, then having my belief challenged to the point where I completely change my mind. That to me is like a wonderful experience. It makes me feel so alive to reinvigorate my attitudes and beliefs like that. So I'll say you often spend a lot of time. I don't know about that really, but let's say there. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends. Never. I am lucky that anyone contacts me to initiate anything with me. So, thank you to the people that do that. And I don't do that, even though that's terrible and I should be ashamed. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. No. The problem with me is if my plan or my routine or my project gets interrupted in some way, then I'll find it very difficult to get back to it, and probably won't. And that's part of the problem. So I'll go there. You are still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago. Yeah, I'm haunted sometimes by mistakes that I made, which I won't go into now. You rarely contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. No, I pretty much contemplate those things on a daily basis because I'm trying to uncover what am I supposed to be doing here? What is this all about? What's the right thing? What's the right way to be? How am I supposed to respond to what's going on here? Anyway, your emotions control you more than you control them. Yeah, I don't control my emotions very well. Do they control me? Maybe in ways that I'm not aware of consciously all the time. But, I have had my eyes open to the ways that my emotions, when I didn't realise it, were really dictating the way that I responded to things. So I'll say this, I tried to control them, but the truth is I'm not very much in control. I've been learning that. You take great care not to make people look bad, even when it's completely their fault. Yeah, I'll basically make great sacrifices not to seem like I'm attacking others or blaming others or criticizing others. I never want people to feel bad. I'm sort of a people pleaser. But in the way that I suffer and the way that I've had other people make me feel terrible about myself, I never want to do that to others, honestly. So I'm like, sort of, it's fake, but I'm sort of like super nice to people. Um, because I'm so aware of how they might respond and how they might feel if I'm not extra nice. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organised and consistent efforts. Yeah, absolutely right. Every so often I will get super excited about something and then after a while it dissolves. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take for them to feel disappointed in you. Yeah, completely. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. Completely. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time. Completely disagree. Well, where can we go with this? It's it's the thing that I've been naturally drawn to ever since I was a kid. I did a degree in this. I love pondering abstract philosophical things. I suppose the question of whether it's a waste of time, it depends completely on where you're coming from. If you want to achieve something concrete, then it may well be a waste of time in that context. The question is too ambiguous. It really depends. But I suppose what it's asking me is how do I feel, and the way I feel is it's not a waste of time. It's essential. Even though I admit that you might not have any success in actually progressing with anything. Anyway, that's how I feel. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. The opposite. Like, I've always suspected I'm actually on the autism spectrum because one of the reasons for that is that these busy, bustling environments cause me a lot of like discomfort. Really, you know, at first glance how someone is feeling. No, I'm really bad at telling how people are feeling. I used to think I was good, but I've discovered latterly that I'm not good. You often feel overwhelmed. Yeah, I do feel overwhelmed a lot, and I'm learning to make myself acknowledge those moments and then react by taking myself out or moving away or putting in earphones or whatever. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. Absolutely wrong. I'm no good at this methodical. I'm no good at this methodical approach. I would just try to like blast forwards as fast as I can, and then I wonder why I hit a wall. You're very intrigued by things labelled as controversial. Yeah. I love controversial. I love anything that's out there, that's on the edge. Anything that normal people don't accept or hide away from or censor. I love that stuff. One of the reasons I like YouTube, because it was the anti-mainstream. Maybe not so much anymore, but it was. You would pass along a good opportunity if you thought someone else needed it more. Am I that? Do I have that much goodwill towards others? I think I'm a bit more selfish than that. If I don't see why I owe it to others to give them something that I need as well. Maybe that sounds a bit fucking like savage. But I did say I'd be honest. I don't think I would, to be honest. You struggle with deadlines. I struggle with them. No, I make sure I meet them. I don't like the concept of a deadline, but I usually make sure I meet them because I have so much anxiety about the failure of not meeting them. You feel confident that things will work out for you. I'm not confident of that, but we can hope. Right. Mail. See results. And here we are. So, logician, this INTP-T, this is I'll just say now, this is the result that I've had in the past. I have not done this test for ages, probably 2 years, but this is the result that I've always had in the past. And it's a bit of a depressing result because this personality type is like potentially one of the most flawed and useless personality types to have. That's the way I see it anyway. There we go. I've received 100% introversion, if you can call that an achievement. It's awful to be this introverted. It's awful. It's awful. As in, I don't mean it's awful for me, but it's awful for being a human being in this world. Awful. Like, it's so hard to get on. So, split between intuitive and observant is 69%. Intuitive individuals are very imaginative, open-minded, and curious. They value originality and focus on hidden meanings and distant possibilities. Yeah. So, that's interesting. Like, sometimes on this metric, I've been more 50-50 between feeling and thinking. So this is giving me like a much higher thinking. We focus on objectivity and rationality, often dismissing emotions in favour of logic. They tend to see effectiveness as more important than social harmony. Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling totally connected to this description, to be honest. And yeah, like, so I usually get INTP, and if I was feeling, then it would be INFP, and I've often sort of self-placed myself as an INXP, which means very split between thinking and feeling. Next. Prospecting over judging. Prospecting individuals are very good at improvising and adapting to opportunities. They can be flexible, non-conformists who value novelty above stability. Like, yeah, mostly true, although there is part of me that craves stability, I think, and fears losing it. But yeah, generally speaking, this is true. I wouldn't say I'm like very good at adapting to opportunities. Anyway, next. 79% turbulent. So yeah, this is the thing. This is the letter that is tacked onto the end. I think this is only really a feature of this 16 personalities website. So turbulent individuals are self-conscious and sensitive to stress. They feel a sense of urgency in their emotions, tend to be success-driven, perfectionistic, and eager to improve. Well, look, I'm perfectionistic, but it does not result in me being success-driven. Instead, it results in me in being avoidant and sort of preferring not to begin because I'm so worried about not being perfect. Like, I might not even upload this bloody recording because I'm so worried about, like, I could have done this way better. But anyway, I'm going to try and remember the Mr. Beast rule of, like, you just have to upload the first one and then fucking see where it goes from there. Would you like a copy of the results? No. So yeah, here's the the profile. This is what I've seen in the past. Profile like this. Don't know if it's the same. Should we look at this then, or should we leave this for another time? Logicians you may know: Bill Gates, Kristen Stewart, Albert Einstein, Avicii. I don't know who that is. Isaac Newton, René Descartes, Elliot Page, Blaise Pascal, Neo from The Matrix. Very good. So yeah, like overthinking. This is like a spot on trait of mine. The good news is that logicians don't have to stay stuck for long. Their unique strengths include everything they need to pull themselves out of the ruts that they occasionally fall into. Well, I am in a rut, so hopefully I can pull myself out. By leveraging their creativity and their open-mindedness, logicians can reach their full potential, both as thinkers and as happy, well-rounded people. Reaching my potential is something I'd like to achieve because, okay, I did say at the beginning that I might go a bit further into this, but yeah, my life has been a catalogue of bouncing from one thing to the next. Nothing sticks. Nothing goes very far. Um, the moment I start to feel like I'm failing or, not achieving perfectly what I wanted, I bail. That's my inclination anyway. Um, I bail out, move somewhere new, and do something different. And as a result, like, I wind up. I won't tell you exactly how old I am, but I'm old enough that I can feel very, like, distressed with how little I've achieved in my life. Um, let's look at career paths then. YouTuber? No, I've like I'm doing this just as a just for fun. Um, logicians, eccentric logicians may struggle to find jobs that suit them. Yeah, this has been my struggle. I've bounced through many different jobs. Most of the time, I've kind of hated them and found them unbearable. So, it's been quite rare that I found a job that I can just stick with and be all right with. And I've never found anything that I love. I'd much rather just sort of be left alone to pursue random avenues in my free time. But of course, in this world, it's not possible. I understand that. Yeah, technical fields. Maybe I would have been better off going into technical fields, but instead I went into philosophy because philosophy is the way that. Anyway, they're drawn into self-directed workplaces with flat hierarchies. Nearly every job posting these days requests candidates with strong people skills. I have awful, awful people skills. I feel like I'm so awkward, and yeah, that's why I've always wondered if I have ASD because I just, it says here they can succeed in people-oriented positions or customer service roles. Well, in the past, I have been good in customer service roles, but it's all one big act of masking, and it's absolutely exhausting, and basically makes you feel so depressed long term because you're just putting on one big act. Right. Anyway, that is going to have to do it for my first YouTube video. It's probably so bad, but I suppose it doesn't matter anymore because no one's going to watch it. It's my first video. So I'm going to try and learn something from what I've done here. I think I've rambled way too much. I should be more snappy. But perhaps... I'm not even going to claim that it's interesting because I know that it's not going to be. Anyway, if you've got any questions, anyone who's... if you've watched to this point, you have to leave a comment because I'll be amazed. And you'll probably see below this video 0 comments. I'm absolutely certain of it. It doesn't matter. It's the first thing. I'm just overcoming this hurdle right now. It doesn't matter, does it? Right? So, anyway, any questions? I will answer them in the comments as best I can. And, yeah, we will continue with this turbulence. Right. Like and subscribe. Bye for now.